Well, thanks for joining our Signworld webinar today. My name is Jeannie Borum, and I'm part of the corporate team here at Signworld. And for those of you who may not have attended one of these in the past or watched a recorded session online, let me first give you just a quick overview of what to expect for our next hour today. First, we're going to introduce to you three Signworld owners that are currently running operations here in the United States. They're going to share a little bit about themselves, where they're located, their background, their operation, just to get a general feel for them and who they are and where they're located. And then we're going to turn the floor over to our active participants today that have joined live and allow them to ask questions of these owners so that they can hear a little bit more about the business and understand more about the industry. When we get to that point, I will ask each of you to come off one by one. I'll announce you and ask you to share where you're located. And I will ask you to reserve for one question for the first round. If time permits, we'll go around for our second round of questions. But we do ask you to keep it to one initially. So with that said, let's first introduce you to our panelists that are on our call today. I'm going to go in years in business, not in any other priorities. So just calling that out, Mr. Mark Casson, you've been around with Signworld the longest. Go ahead and give an introduction about yourself and your business for the group today.
I think you went by the amount of gray hair too.
No, I did not. Because Jack would be there first for that one.
Mark has more gray hair than I do.
Mark has
Yes,
more hair than you do, Jack.
yes, yes, he might. He might. That's hilarious. Um, well, first of all, again, my name is Mark Casson. Um, I'm the owner of Big Mouth Signs. If you forget our name, just think of a big hippo with his mouth wide open. That's our logo. We're located in the Atlanta metro area in a suburb called Lilburn, which is next door to Stone Mountain. I've been in business for 22 years as of May 1st, and my sign company, we operate off of or out of two buildings, one across the parking lot from the other. I have about 4,000 square feet of office space, garage, about 2,400 of it's garage, and then the 1,600 is office space and what I call clean production. So I have a printer and a laminator and that sort of thing in the production room. Um, Across the parking lot, we have an 800 square foot office area. We have a gravograph engraving machine. We have a laser for doing ADA signs and cutout dimensional lettering. And then the other 3,200 square foot has a 5 by 10 router table, a 23-foot long paint booth, and a variety of other tools and so on. How many employees? I believe I'm at about 8 right now, and possibly be back up to 9. The most I've ever had was 17. 2026 sales projections, I think we're going to hit about 1.8 million. At our peak, we were doing 2.5 million. Biggest customer, largest project recently completed. We are actually just submitted, due at 10 o'clock this morning, and because of some technical issues, it was submitted at 9:59. But that is about 70 LED displays and the mounting frames and so on and so forth for the Gwinnett County school system at a cost of about at a price of about $30,000 per location. So fingers crossed on that one. A biggest customer we have is it's a physical therapy chain that is finally starting to go through a resurgence. One time we did about 130 locations a year at about $11,000 a location. That number's kind of creeping up, like everything else is creeping up to about $14,000 a location. And we were just told a couple weeks ago, quote, we've got a lot of new locations coming in. So I'm expecting that to grow back to be bigger than it's been in about 4 years. Background career, I was a district manager and then regional vice president for the Old Kenny Shoe Corporation. The Champ Sports is part of that same corporation. And somehow, some way, by the grace of God, I ended up in signage. So that's my story.
Awesome. Well, so glad you're here today and good to see you again, Mark. Thanks for sharing
Good,
that
good,
background.
good to see you.
Likewise. All right. Next 10 year in business. Sasha, please come off of mute and introduce yourself. I think you got Corbin by just a year or two.
Hey everyone, Sasha Kachian here with Lighthouse Sign Company. Actually, Jane, I'm pushing 7 years. So we started talking about 10 years ago, but yeah, in October of this year, we're going to be at 7 year mark. We're based out of San Diego, California. Um, and Our facility is about 3,200 square feet. We started at 1,600 and then we expanded about 2 years ago. It's the identical unit, just neighboring. So we doubled in size. Just like Mark, we have like a clean production area where we have our HP 365 latex printer, GraphTech plotter, and laminator. So it's pretty much all vinyl work in the original space. And then we've expanded into building illuminated signage, so it'll include channel letters, monument signs, and that's the dirty production area. We've got the CNC routing machine, 5x10, SDS automation, channel bender, and we recently just ordered a channel stitcher to increase our production speed. We just got backed up by about 2.5 months backlog, and so currently just trying to figure out how to speed things up. Let's see, how many employees we are. We're a total of 8, well, 7 full-time and then one part-time, recently hired administrative employee and helping with SOP, standard operating procedures, building out. So we're about 8. We may go up to 9. That will be just additional project manager and salesperson, but that's most likely for 2027. Let's see, for 2026 sales projections, we're currently tracking about 1.4 million. So most likely that's where we're going to be unless, last few months of the year, just something kind of bigger comes along. But I think 1.4, 1.5. That's our kind of what we're currently on track. Biggest project recently completed. We just finished an apartment complex in San Antonio, Texas. It was about, I believe it was about $85,000. It's about a 220 unit apartment complex. It was a full rebranding, so unit IDs, monument signs, and things like that. And then the second one, I think that it's not the biggest one, but it's the biggest one for channel letters. It was about $62,000 for Athletic Brewing Company. It's a non-alcoholic beer company. They took over Ballast Point, which is half a mile away from our sign shop. And it's 2 sets of channel letters at $62,000, but they're very, very large. So we're pretty excited to actually make them. We just got approved for permits, and yeah. And my background is in business administration and finance. I graduated from University of San Diego in 2009 with degrees business admin and finance. I worked in finance for about 7 years. I was a financial software company. I was there. Started as a junior analyst and finished as a senior analyst in about 2016, 2017, and start talking to Signworld around that time. And yeah, I've been doing this for about 7 years, and yeah, never looked back. we're having fun.
Awesome. Thanks for that introduction. All right, let's go to our next current owner. Corbin, go ahead and give a background about yourself and your business, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Corbin Rowley. I'm the owner of Visibility Signs and Graphics. And we're located in two locations in Utah, in Provo and in Salt Lake City. I've been in business for a little over 5 years, so April 1st of 2021 when we opened. And our primary facility is about 7,000 square feet. And the sales office in Salt Lake City is small. It's around 250 square feet, just 3 offices for the sales team that work out of that location. The Provo facility is divided similarly to the way Mark and Sasha described, with clean area, front area, around 2,000 square feet, and then 5,000 square feet of production space. We have upgraded our print capabilities to the latest 4th generation latex HP print with the R530 and the 730 machines. And so they're phenomenal. They're awesome. Great quality, and has expanded my capabilities with the direct printing. We additionally have the 5x10 CNC, the channel letter bending, illuminated signs, painting, fabrication, welding, and we are UL certified and 3M certified. So it's a lot of fun. Our projections this year are 2.1 million, so a little lower than last year. I did hire 3 new salespeople this year. So our most recent one is 30 days on the job. And I got them from other industry sign companies. So very experienced. And so my projection might be a little low, but we'll see. We'll see what they pull together toward the end of the year. The biggest customer, biggest project. So this year we've made a new relationship with a medical company. They've rebranded 2 new clinics, and we're finishing one actually today. Their EMC is going to go live, and we'll display all of their content on a pole sign. It was a restaurant that they purchased and then refinished. And so the pole sign was existing. We just had to change everything about it. New channel letters, 3 new sets of channel letters, additional signs, wall signs, and vinyl. And that project totaled just under 90,000. And we're right now producing a wayfinding project for a data center. They've decided that their trucking deliveries, like the truck drivers don't know where they're going on their campus to their 3 buildings. So they're spending $111,000 to put signs in to tell their truckers where to go. So that's pretty fun, exciting stuff. My background, my career, I spent about 13 years in trade shows and events, producing exhibits for national companies. You know, I worked on accounts for Hewlett Packard and Panasonic, some automotive programs, Cox Automotive. So I kind of had a bit of exposure to signs and graphics, in that we would pay somebody else to produce them and put them on the exhibits that we were shipping around the country. And I'm very grateful that I found Signworld a little over 5 years ago. It's been wonderful. Like Sasha and Mark, no looking back.
Feelings are mutual, Corbin. Great introduction. All right, let's go to our last panelist for today. Jack, go ahead and give a quick overview of yourself, please.
I'm Jack Warner. I joined Signworld as an operation in 1995, 31 years ago. I ran that for 10 years, then sold it, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but our founder, former president, needed an heir. So I joined him in the corporate office to learn his end of business, finished buying him out in 2014. Became president owner of Signworld and held that role for the next 10 years. Until 2 years ago, was passed off to Jean and her brother Dan. So I'm the ex-CEO of Signworld.
No such thing.
My largest customer was a regional developer for Subway with 200 locations. Every 5 years, Subway changes every single sign inside and out. That was a $250,000 per year customer for me.
Very good. So, for all those attending today and listening in, I counted we have 61 years of experience in the sign and graphic industry on our panel today. So, no question can be unanswered, guys. I'm putting you up to the task. All right, let's turn the floor over to our participants. So again, I'm going to call you off by name. Just unmute yourself, tell the group where you're located, and go ahead with the question. For those of you not asked first, might want to think of a second question or third question just in case. But Jeremy, I have you logged in first. If you can go ahead and come off of mute, tell the group where you're located, and go ahead with the question for them.
Hello, so my name is Jeremy Pomar, and I'm located in Greenville, South Carolina. My first question might be, really basic questions, but what would look like, a regular week on the owner day-to-day kind of business? So a regular week, basically.
Is there such a thing as a regular week, guys? All right, let's turn the floor over to our owners here. Day of the life of an owner. What do you do? I'm just going to go in reverse order. Corbin, let's start with you first.
Yeah, great question, Jeremy. So my current week is very different than when I started. So I'm going to give you two answers. When I started, my week would have been primarily focused on sales and customer acquisition. It would have been focused on my marketing program, working with my marketing team in order to ensure that our program was reaching the customers that we were focused on reaching. It might have been in training, learning the industry because I didn't know enough about the sign industry. So I would participate in Signworld webinars 2 or 3 times a week. And we have a mastermind group. So, carving out an hour a week to work with that team. And I spent a lot of time quoting, estimating jobs, FaceTime with customers, site surveys, visiting their locations, getting photos and measurements to put into designs and mock-ups. And, it was, I'm going to use the word grind, but I loved it, right? It was starting my company and getting traction with it. I hired an employee in that first year. And so she and I together, she would design and produce and sometimes install the signs. We would outsource the installation. And I was primarily sales and finance and marketing. Today, so I'm CEO of a company with, I forgot to answer that, 11 employees and 2 contractors in the Philippines. And I have a management team, and that team manages the day-to-day. So right now, I'm primarily sales leader and finance, right? Like I'm in charge of the money, which is really cool, which is really great. So very different positions. I work from home 2 days a week, most of the time. And I spend my time with one-on-one conversations with my managers and one-on-one conversations with my salespeople, and leading maybe two team meetings per week. I've stepped back from primary sales. I still sell quite a bit to my current accounts, but I'm not out there chasing any of that new work. That's for the 3 salespeople and our Filipino virtual assistant who handles our kind of quick sell program. And yeah, I got to play a little bit of golf, and I spend time with my family. I've got 5, my wife Jennifer and I have 5 kids, ages 8 to 16. So they're all in school. And so I know I've got school activities coming up next week. We're going to go camping half day tomorrow and Friday just to finish out before school starts. And so, yeah, the ownership life has gotten really good.
Very good. Very good. After the grind of the first year.
After the grind, for sure. You got to put in the work.
That's right. Absolutely. All right, Sasha, how about you? What would you say is the typical week of an owner? And I like what Corbin did as far as when you first started to where you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, very similarly, early on when I started, I visited a lot of webinars that Signworld offered. Before starting this company, I never sold anything in my life. I was in front of screens just analyzing data. So Signworld offered beginners and advanced sales class, and that was so helpful for me to kind of like understand how sales work and learn about signage. And so early on, I was selling a lot and just networking. Once we had enough budget to run marketing, so I started generating all my leads through online. We have 2 production meetings with the team on Mondays and Thursdays. Sometimes there's like a daily huddle, but I'm not part of it. And then we have a sales team meeting. So those are kind of like my main primary ones. And then any new leads, our sales person handles those, and I handle all of my existing customers that kind of like build my own book. Most of them are repeat customers, so I just take care of them, make sure they're happy. Um, and yeah, this is a kind of recurring revenue, so it's very important in signage industry to make sure you kind of keep those customers coming. And then just day to day, anything business related, all the money goes through me. So handling those, talking to my bookkeeper. I recently hired a new one who's very communicative, and we just kind of have our like monthly, some actually every other week calls and just discussing numbers. Um, what else? Yeah, and just and recently, about a year and a half ago, we've expanded. So I'm still we've got our YOLO certification for illuminated signage, and then just kind of learning those processes. And then now I'm concentrating a lot on improving efficiencies, like reducing the cost of goods. So I'm doing a lot of purchasing. That's another one. So just constantly negotiating good rates for raw materials to build signs. And then working with my production people to just wherever we can increase efficiency and reducing costs when needed. Yeah, just mainly like business operation, and then a bit of sales on the side whenever I can.
Very good. Thanks, Dasha.
Yeah.
Mark, how about you?
Um, I'm, my mindset has always been that if you're working a job that you truly love, you're not working. And I'm a very sports oriented person, and so I kind of liken it to being a quarterback of a college football team. If you are uh, truly dedicated to making your mark and being competitive in your marketplace, et cetera, then you know you're gonna do some running, you're gonna do some weightlifting, you're gonna throw 400 passes to the left, and you're gonna throw 400 passes to the right. You're not gonna need anybody to tell you that this is what you need to be doing. You're gonna want to do it because you're gonna want to get better in those particular areas. And in the sign industry, it's very much like a game. Both Corbin and Sasha did, I think, a really good job of explaining what they do. My explanation is a little bit more generic, I think. No 2 days are the same. I'll start, really digging into a website, redoing our website. That'll be my next major project. But another example might be, it's football season, it's volleyball season. In some states, it's softball season, and those are great opportunities to get out there and meet with booster club presidents and coaches and so on and so forth. Our LED display history, we've sold in excess of 110, maybe 115 displays at $30,000 a piece on average to one school district. And that project started with a email letter writing campaign when I first bought my sign company 22 years ago. I simply sent an email to every head coach at the local high school and telling him that I would be happy to do $25 yard signs. You know, my name's Ethan. I played football for Parkview. That turned into $3.5 million worth of LED displays. And so it's a constant, you're constantly developing leads, you're constantly developing relationships. It's not, you don't go around town and here's this Mexican restaurant and the last three letters of their channel letter sign doesn't work anymore. That's not what you're doing. And if you're trying to do that, you're going to get tired before you get successful. And it's really, this industry is very, very much about developing relationships.
Very good. All very interesting answers. Thanks so much for sharing, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right, let's go to our next guest for a question. Nick, if you can come off of mute, tell the group where you're located and go ahead with the question for them.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your time today. Yeah, my name is Nick Drew. I'm located in Vancouver, Washington. You can think of Vancouver as a suburb of Portland. It's right across the Columbia River from Portland, Oregon. And that's important as I think about where I'd like to locate my business. There are different business environments in Washington. There's a sales tax. But right across the river in Portland, there's no sales tax, but there's income tax. So if I were to locate in Washington, that would impact my customers. If I were to locate in Oregon, that would impact my personal, my net take-home pay, so to speak. So I'm being very thoughtful about that. And I understand one of the differences between the physical and virtual business models in Signworld is that geographic territory that you get when you become a Signworld owner. And with that, if my understanding is correct, let me know if it's not. There's between 2,000 to 3,000 businesses, 2,000 to 3,000 businesses that instantly become your market, an established market for you. So I wanted to see how important was that for you early on in your tenure as a business to market to and to get to canvas, so to speak, customers in your geographic location. Was that really helpful for launching and getting your business going, or did much of your business come outside of that territory that you got when you became a Signworld business owner?
So Nick, before I turn it over to the owners, I'm just going to clarify the territory definition for Signworld just for clarity. So each of our owners has what we call a protected territory, which basically states that for the life of their business, we, Signworld, will never place another operation within their protected area. It allows us to make sure we don't have too many Signworld businesses in one geography where there's not enough business density to support it, or other sign companies, not just Signworld businesses. But also from a Google marketing perspective, the lead will be generated or targeted towards the business address that's closer to the client. So just making sure there's a little space for everybody. So each operation does have between 2,000 to 3,000 businesses in their territory to start. Some areas, like Mark 22 years ago, Atlanta's grown a lot. I'm sure he's got a lot more than that in his territory today. But that's how we do territories, but it never restricts where an owner can do business. In other words, your customers can be anywhere that you choose to pursue business. So just making sure we have some clarity on what a territory is and isn't, unlike a franchise where there's a little bit more limitation to your client base based on your territory. So with that said, now I'm going to turn the floor over to the owners to answer the question as far as, getting business going, your question about the different states and the tax considerations. I'm not sure if they had any of that, decision process in their journey, but let's just turn it over to them to see. Mark, how much business do you do within the local geography of your territory? You do a lot of schools. We know that with what you've already shared, but maybe you can kind of share like where your customer base is and how you attracted those customers and anything that can be helpful for Nick in this question.
It's a really interesting question. 22 years ago, I remember Ken Kent telling me, these are going to be my zip codes. And And, my average sale was probably somewhere around $300 to $500. And if I sold a set of channel letters while my other staff members were out to lunch, I strutted around like a peacock when they came back because I just had a $3,000 or $4,000 sale. And I remember getting really, really angry because Terry Huey Signs had moved closer to me. Terry Huey has nothing to do with Sign World, but he was giving some ridiculously low prices on banner material, banners and coroplast signs. And now 22 years later, at some point in that journey, I figured out that it's a lot easier to be successful if you try to park yourself in communities like Alpharetta in the Atlanta area, Roswell, Johns Creek, et cetera, et cetera. In Denver, Cherry Creek. Um, we can all, if you think of a big city, you kind of know where to go. I get the tax implications to some degree. I'm one of those weird people though that think that the top line should drive the bottom line. And so my whole motivation is sales, 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 and I don't pay a lot of attention to tax implications. And that's probably a sign of a poor education on my part, but that's just the way I am. I the vast majority of my signage. One of the funny things is, at least in my opinion, as a sign owner, is start thinking about, okay, in my area, what do I remember about the sign ordinance for Lilburn, Georgia? I know more about the sign ordinance in Charlotte, North Carolina than I do in Lilburn, Georgia. I know more about the sign ordinance in suburbs of Dallas than I do in Lilburn, Georgia. And so I don't do a lot of business locally, with the real exception of the school district. I do a lot of work with them, but even with our largest customer, we're selling signs in Washington, Oregon, Utah. We sell signs in 26 states, or have sold signs in 26 states with Upstream. And so I completely get the value of your zip code. I think it's a great thing. I would not want to give them up, but in reality, you end up selling signs where your customers are. And that may be 3 blocks down the road. That may be 3,000 miles to the west.
Very good. Appreciate that overview. All right, Sasha, how about you?
I don't have my numbers for this year, but in 2023, we did about $1.2 million in sales, and close to 400,000 of those sales were from Texas. So it was a construction company specializing in multifamily, and we're doing projects in Texas, in Portland, in Vegas, in Utah, in Provo, and we yeah, a lot of once you kind of get a bit bigger, you start getting customers from different cities, states. That's the power of also Signworld Network. Because when I first landed my $100,000 contract, my experience, obviously, it was third months in business, so I didn't really know much, but just making a call to Jack and kind of telling him, "Hey, Jack, I just landed my contract and I don't really know kind of what I'm doing, so I need some help." And he immediately put me in touch with Signworld owner in Austin, Texas, and we start kind of working together. And I think by that time he's been in business for about 15, 20 years. In terms of zip code, I see the power of the zip code, the value of it, kind of breaking up those territories among Signworld owners. So kind of you can concentrate on your marketing. They'll introduce you to right marketing vendors. But other than in my zip code, just if I walk out of my sign shop right now, I can see just with my own eyes at least three other sign shops. They're not Signworld sign shops, and so there'll always be competition out there, and that's not something I worry about much. I think in the beginning, I just want to introduce myself to a few of those sign shops, and a couple were very unhappy to meet me, and seven others they were neutral, and then later they called me and outsourced some vinyl printing through me because their printer was down. So my suggestion, that's just kind of what I did. I didn't really worry about competition. There's always be competition. You want to worry about your sales, sales. That's your number one priority. Nick, about kind of the tax advantages you're talking about. That's something I think you'll have to kind of figure out on your own what works best for you. But and I'm sure you'll make the right decision, but ultimately that's not what's gonna like make you successful. What's gonna make you successful, there are many other um, qualities that kind of like you already have, and then Signworld will be there to support you with whatever you need. But it's really sales. No sales, no business. End of story. So those are the things you want to really worry about.
Good advice. Thank you, Sasha. Corbin, how about you?
He ditto to what Sasha and Mark said. I think when I started my business, I thought fairly small. I wanted to be the number one sign company in Utah County, right, which is south of Salt Lake. I wanted to dominate the sign industry here. So my zip codes, yeah, they were sort of important. There was one other Sign World outfit in the area, but 20 minutes to the north of me. But as I started to gain traction in this market and sell in others, my vision got bigger, and I made good connections with another Signworld owner in the Salt Lake area, Visibility Sign Company. My company was started as Timpanogos Custom Signs, and that connection, while they had their territory, eventually led to me being able to acquire them and grow my business. So, and like Sasha and Mark have said, I've sold quite a bit of work outside of my territory. Even today, right? We sell wherever we want, and I think that the network itself is more a benefit to each other as owners, as opposed to a protected territory. None of us think of it that way. And Sasha mentioned he's got jobs in Provo, and Mark shipping signs to Utah. And this is great. And I hope that they reach out to me to help with installation, right? Things like that. But we do try to help one another, as opposed to, I don't think of any of my Signworld partners as competition. I don't know if that was part of the question. And then finally, go for the no income tax versus sales tax, as opposed to, as long as the market is good.
Yeah, absolutely. All good insight there. Jack, anything additional to add to that?
If you're trying to do this for quality of life, having your territory as close to home means that your initial customers are going to be closer to home. And from there on, you're going to have customers all over the metro market. You're going to do business in both markets. So,
yeah, great feedback. All right, very good. Let's go to our next guest for a question. Tyler, if you can come off of mute, tell the group where you're located and ask a question. And before you do, really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you. In the background, we're going to start playing some slides and some pictures. There's no audio to it. It's just going to be pictures showing some of our operations, their locations, where they're located, and our owners. Some will be work, some of the projects that they do. It will be labeled as in-source or in-house work versus outsource for those who have physical businesses. Obviously, our virtual owners outsource everything. And then the third is just unique projects that our owners do, just to see signs are everywhere, and it just opens up your eyes to what's possible. So those will be going in the background while we continue the question. So Tyler, now without an interruption, please go ahead and share where you're located and ask a question.
Hi, thanks. Yeah. Tyler Latimer, located in Victoria, British Columbia, at the base of Vancouver Island. My question is, how long did it take before you could comfortably pay yourself a reasonable salary?
Great question. All right. Well, I'm going to add a little bit to it because this is a common question that a lot of people are always looking for. So we usually have the owner share when were they cash positive? In other words, when was the business profits covering the expenses of the business where they were no longer having to add any additional funds? And then when were you able to comfortably start paying yourself? So I'm going to add just an extra question to that and layer it to it. So Corbin, let's start with you first. I'll go in reverse order. Do you remember when you were cash positive in the business and when could you start paying yourself comfortably?
Well, yeah, I remember month 5 when I thought I was going out of business because the cash was dwindling quickly. And I know Jeannie and Jack know this story, and maybe others do as well. But the operating capital had started to dwindle, and my own personal savings. As I mentioned, I'm married. My wife Jennifer is a stay-at-home mom with our 5 kids, and this has been a sacrifice for us, but an important one to raise our children. And at month 5, she was like, "Okay, Corbin, so honey, whatever." She said, "We've got about 2 months left of savings in our personal account. Like, when is this business gonna pay us back?" I called Jack in a bit of a panic. I'm like, "Jack, I think I'm going out of business." Jack said, I don't remember the exact words, but he was like, "Hey, let's meet weekly. We'll go over what you're doing, what you can do, and I will help in whatever way I can." Dan, his son, same thing with the marketing program. Jeannie wasn't part of the team yet, but I know because she's cut from the same cloth that she would have done the same. And I did turn to God. I hadn't included him, at all in the start of my business. And month 6 was a record. Like the first 5 months, I sold 42,000 total, and then that next month I sold 56,000 in a single month. And it grew and grew and grew to the point where I was blessed to be Rookie of the Year for Signworld in those first 12 months. And so when I think about cash positive, it was really month 6 when I was able to collect probably 32,000-ish of deposits that came in, and then complete some of those jobs and do final billings and collect some of those others. And then I didn't start paying myself a salary until my CPA told me what my taxes were going to be one year, and I had been just taking owner's draws the entire time. And then I started to pay myself a salary, and I've continued that practice ever since. And that, I guess, that probably would have been about 18 to 20 months in business when I started paying myself a salary.
Okay, very good. Interesting journey. I'm proud of you for turning that first year around. It is a great story.
Thank you.
Sasha, how about you? When were you cash positive and when could you start paying yourself comfortably?
Yeah, month 4, we pretty much were breaking even and covering all our costs. I was in a little bit of a unique position in the sense that we opened our doors in it was like October of 2019, and March of 2020, everything was pretty much shut down. So kind of at months 4 or 5, my sales were going up, and I remember I was very happy just knowing that I can cover all my costs. And then literally the next week, everything dropped because of shutdown. I was very lucky to have had landed a couple of really good customers by then through a lot of networking, and yeah, it was in the beginning, it was actually all networking, a little bit of online marketing, but those clients were through my own networks. And yeah, and then I think probably a couple months after, kind of like when the whole thing started with COVID, they reached out and they wanted to continue working on signage. And so we kept pushing after that. And I didn't pay myself. I could have paid myself, I think probably like months 8, 9, but I decided to kind of reinvest all the money back into the business. And probably like by like first month of second year or maybe second months of second year, I start paying myself. And then comfortably, I think probably a year and a half later. But again, I was prioritizing just making sure my business financial foundation was stable, and if I needed extra equipment, I was investing all that money into expansion.
Yeah, I think that's a typical recommendation, is to have some kind of savings of 3 months of operating before you start paying yourself to withstand those exceptions.
Yeah. Jeannie, you're breaking up. Why don't you turn your camera off so you get a little bit of bandwidth?
Paying yourself comfortably. You bet. All right. I'm sorry if I didn't.
Gene, turn your camera off so you get better bandwidth. You're breaking up.
If it's okay, I'll just go ahead and
Go ahead, Mark.
start answering the question. My situation was a little bit unique as well. I purchased a Signworld location in May of 2004. The previous owner had ran the business for 6 years and decided that he wanted to go back into the logistics business. The business was doing around $275,000 a year, which, when I say that, a lot of people now kind of cringe. But keep in mind that in 2004, very, very few sign companies had digital printers. If you built a banner, then you built it out of cut vinyl. If it had 6 colors, you needed 6 different colors of vinyl, and you weeded and masked and applied. So it was a much, much more labor intensive industry. But I was able to pay myself first month.
Very good. Let's go on to, looks like Jeannie's lost her signal. Kevin, are you the next one to ask a question? Come off mute. Hello, Kevin. Marius, are you there? Hello, Marius.
Yeah.
What's your
Yes,
question?
I'm here. I have a couple of questions. One is, what was the time that you were able to recover your initial investment? And second, what is the typical profitability of your business as part of total revenue?
The first question is a hard one to answer because everybody looks at it very differently. Some people have taken money out of savings to start their business. They don't want to take any salary until they paid themselves back. Others have done an SBA loan and they're going to run the SBA loan for 10 years and that's the payback of it. Others look at it as when you buy your house, you don't get your return on investment until you sell the house. So everybody really looks at that really very, very differently on return on investment. But the only other question you can ask is, based on the Signworld investment that you put into the business, how long did it take you in salary or in profit of the business to generate that same amount of money, if you want to count it that way? Sasha, can you take a stab at that?
Yeah, I mean, Jack is totally right. It's really depending on the owner. Like I said earlier, I was investing mostly back into the business, but by year and a half, you can pretty much have all your money back.
Right.
I think some owners can do it even faster, and I think they have done it faster.
Both between salary, reinvestment in equipment, etc. How long did it take? Corbin, how about you? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's about 18 months when I started to pay myself that salary. Um, and then every year after that, I seem to have recouped that initial investment.
Okay. Mark, do you remember back, your number would be different because you had a
Yeah,
recent.
I would say about that same, about a year and 3 months, maybe a year and a half. The other point that I would make though is, if let's say you had, a couple $100,000 in the bank and you went out and you bought a townhouse or something like that. You've made that investment much like we've made the investment into a sign company, and people ask the question, well, when did I make my initial investment back? Well, you have equity in your sign company just like I would have equity in that townhouse. And I think it's important that when you're asking that question, that you recognize that.
Very good. Marius, I don't remember exactly your second half of the question.
What is the typical net profitability on a certain revenue? Let's say if you have 1 million revenue, what would be the net profit? If you have 2 million revenue, what would be the net profit?
Okay. Corbin, are you willing to share between salary and other things that you generate out of what you think your net percentage is?
Yeah, sure, Jack. So I've recently had my business valued. I have had 3 companies give me a valuation of my company, and as part of that process, they look very deeply into your financials. Your not just your salary, but your seller's discretionary earnings, right? Your SDEs. So the number that I'm going to share includes everything, the entirety of the value that I gain from the business per year. And they tell me, so let me just do the math. It's 20%.
20%.
So at 2.1 million, you can do the math on that.
Very good. Sasha, how about you?
Yeah, I was averaging so far this year I'm at about 20%. Before I was a bit higher, I was about 26%. But that's now I have bigger payroll with expansion. That's when I had a smaller shop. So right now, with extra payroll and additional investments, a little bit lower. So my goal is try to push back to 25. That's excluding my own salary. So I also like pay myself as W-2 as well.
So you're running 20% plus salary.
Correct.
Very good. And you said you're working on SOPs and trying to build efficiencies on your business right now to improve that number even more.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just with a smaller company, as I kind of after a couple employees quit, I quickly realized like this is not sustainable. So just kind of putting standard operating procedures where if someone leaves, you can easily kind of. So last year I went through a little bit of a turbulent period, losing a key employee, and it was a big wake up call. But not, everything is manageable. You can totally it's fixable. So absolutely.
Very good. Janie, you're back. Maybe. Are you there, Jeannie?
I'm back, but I don't know what's going on with I think I'm just going to let you finish us up here today. I don't want to cause disruption.
Mark, how about you? What kind of net percentages are you running in your business?
I would say around 20. So.
Very good. We got time for one more question. If someone wants to raise their hand, if you just click on down the bottom, raise your hand, and we got time for one more question here. Tyler, Nick, Marius. Looks like we don't have Jeremy anymore on the call. So I'll ask you a question. What do you like best about the sign business? What do you like best about Signworld? What value have you seen in joining our group? Mark, you've been around a long time. What have you seen in Signworld and the help for you?
I like the overall sense of camaraderie. I like having conversations with people and getting different perspectives. Somebody said earlier that they don't really look at other sign world people in their marketplace or as competition, and I agree with that completely. But again, I'll go back to the thing I like absolutely the most is the applicability that this business has to um, competing much like you would compete in sports. It's a game, and so I go home every night and I've had fun. It's been a good day. I don't ever have bad days, and being able to feel like I won today and have the wins far outweigh the losses, and then being able to when my kids were younger, go out to eat, and you're in an area with a number of restaurants and so on, and you point to this Mexican restaurant, we did that sign, and we point to this Mexican restaurant, we did that sign, and here's an Italian one we did, and then the last thing that I would say is um, it's very, very enjoyable. Maybe as I get older, I'm getting softer, but um, it's very, very enjoyable watching other people succeed. Not only like your customers, people you mentor. Um, I'm going to give you a couple examples. I have employees who struggled. One of them's got his 10-year anniversary this week, and lived in a kind of a bad apartment, and then a little bit better apartment, and then a house, and then a better house, and now they're in a house with a pool, and the neighborhood's better, and the schools are better, and they're making more money than they've ever made in their lives, and that feels great. Um, but I remember a Mexican restaurant uh, recently voted the best Mexican restaurant in the city of Atlanta. And I met him, um, we'll say 20 years ago. And we meet him at a strip center, kind of a rundown strip center. He gets out of a little Camry that had definitely had better days and had been hit once or three times. And now and I'm not saying that it's all because of us. Certainly it's not. It's because of his leadership and his hard work. But by the same token, we did play a role. We did help him with his logo. We did help him brand his business, et cetera, et cetera. Now he has 6 or 7 locations. The last time I met him for a project, he gets out of a Porsche SUV. His wife is driving a um, Mercedes Benz, and they live in a $1 million plus brick home. And it's very rewarding to feel like I had a 0.05% impact on that, and that's cool.
Very good. We're getting almost to time. Corbin and Sasha, short answers on what's best.
For me, it was Signworld Network. Like I mentioned, landing that big contract. If I didn't have Signworld support, that would have never happened. I probably would have just walked away, just being too scared to take on. And knowing that Signworld was behind me, I confidently took on the project, and that turned into $1 million in revenue business for me. And then another one was sales classes. Just Signworld is there to add any kind of things that you think you need to improve or learn. Signworld is there. For me, it was sales classes that helped me tremendously. And then just lastly, like starting your own business, it's you essentially investing into yourself. So if you want to grow also personally, And if that's kind of where you feel like you're lacking something in your life, this will truly push you to go outside of your comfort zone and build the life that you want for yourself and for your family. Like Corbin mentioned, he has 5 kids and a wife at home. So it's like, really, if the answer is like I want to invest in myself and I grow as a person and therefore like my business, yeah, it's I love every day of my life right now just doing this, and now I can grow and impact my employees. I didn't have better life today than they did a couple of years ago. My life is better just on a personal level and on a business level, and I'm achieving my dreams every day.
Excellent, excellent. Corbin?
Love what I do, and I'm grateful every day for being a member of the Signworld family. It's gotten more important as the years have gone on. I may use less of what they might offer to new people, but the relationships that I've developed with the other owners in my mastermind, those are friendships and connections that will last forever. And we help one another, we support one another. I can't speak highly enough about this company and Jack and everything that he has done, and Jeannie and Dan continue to do. This is a unique, very unique group of people.
Very good. Gentlemen, thank you all for taking time today. Mark, Sasha, Corbin, congratulations on the success you have and continued success. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You as
Have a good
well.
day.